Hi, it's me again, the All American Hat. In a society of mourning, the loss of culture, of a good culture, of American marriage. A lot of American women are having trouble landing husbands, good husbands. And this Leslie lady gets up in front of the people. This lady. She gets up in front of the people and calling marriage slavery. Now, take my head off for this. Take my glasses off for this. I wanted to be married with children by this age. But it didn't happen. Now, Leslie, now I had questions, and somebody got to research if Leslie was born a guy. But I'm going to leave that there. There are a lot of trannies. Like I said in my other video, there are a lot of trannies. Now, I saw in there, and I'll put up the bio. Obviously, that her dad was like, pushing her like, well, yeah, you can play basketball because you're tall. Kind of training up to, and then Leslie is masculine and just so many things, that so many red flags, and calling marriage slavery. I'm gonna put see if I put another video in the description of this video. Now, I have some strong opinions, and I've done videos about the attack on the nuclear family and how plenty of us have wanted to be married and desired to be married. And talk about the trad wife, and she talked and let's talk to the trad wife. I'm like, what's wrong with being a housewife? I wouldn't, if I was married, I wouldn't, and I was working and my husband was working, I wouldn't have to do all this overtime to pay this high rent. In which I'm in a nice apartment. Dang. It would be nice to be with somebody. And I would help him out, and he helped me out on things, and he take care of the bills and stuff like that, and I help out, and different things and expenses in the house. And what's wrong with the man being a provider? Biblically, he's supposed to lead, be the provider, and see that the woman's taken care of, like, transportation, because I was raised up in a house where, my dad was married to my mom, and my mom's passed away now, but my dad, they were, before she passed, they were already together for over 40 years, and he showed how the man's to take care of the wife and take care of the house bills and stuff like that. And if she wants to work, yeah. But that should be discussed before you, get, any seriously in a relationship. You should discuss, well, whether you want to be a housewife or whether you want, whether the husband's saying, okay, you can stay home and, or you have an agreement. You don't get down the aisle and you say, I think you should be a stay-at-home mom, and you decide you want a career, and then, but there are different things you can do at home, and, to get a side hustle and different things like that you can do, and, You can make money online and different things like that and different career goals. And then you get different career goals involving children. Now, whoever I would be with, it would be nice that I be with somebody who likes to travel or likes to road trip. Because I'll get in the car, drive 10 or 12 hours, long distance. I drove to Florida 3 times last year, 2025. One of those times I drove to Georgia, and then the other day, you know, later, I just drove to Florida from Georgia. But my thing is this: you have to have those discussions. Now, it's bad, and it would be seem like slavery if he's abusive and he's not doing what he's supposed to do, and the woman not doing what she's supposed to do. But God created marriage between a man and a woman. Now, I'm not going to hate people because they decide they're gay and they decide to do what they want to do. But my decision, I'm agree with the biblical design for marriage. But I'm not going to make this video but so long. But the truth of the matter is, many of us desire to be married. And a lot of men are marrying immigrants because they tend to be more wanting to get married. But there are plenty of us American women. I'm conservative. And so I stick with the views, and I'm, Republican. I'm going to stick with the biblical views on a whole lot of stuff. I'm more of the traditional female. Now, because I'm considered Black American or woman from USA or whatever the case may be, a lot of people who are melanated like I am, a lot of them are not as conservative leaning. But a guy with me, he knows I'm more on the biblical views on a whole lot of things. Now, we have to have agreement. I have career things that I decided to do, like writing, like different things like that, and and even with children, you can involve them in stuff, and like career stuff. Like, say you have a special event, you can involve your children, or you travel together, and you decide agreement, and you travel together, and you have agreement on where where you want to travel to and things you like to do. I like theme parks. I like the water park. I like a whole lot of stuff like that. But it's slavery if you're doing things against your will. Now, some cultures, and I probably have some, sure I have some Muslims who might watch my videos, and I have a bunch that are on my job, but culturally, the women don't have as much leeway on as many choices on, things like that, as far as, all the, if people really research stuff, all the feminists, they would not be siding with certain faiths over the Christian faith. Now, there are all kinds of things, but it's supposed to be agreement on both sides. The man and the woman got to have respect for each other, faithful to each other, and you have to know things before you go down the aisle. Now, I've known about situations where the people didn't know each other, as long. It don't take that long for you to find out whether you want to be with that person or not. But some people make it like, oh, when you start courtship. not necessarily dating, courtship. Courting a person, that means you're not doing any of that certain touching and all that kissing and all that type of stuff. Biblically, in your side, y'all pray together and you might have Bible study together or whatever the case may be. Even if you don't study your Bible together, you have your views. You have moral views on what you decide that you want in a relationship, what you decide on both sides of the relationship. So I'm not, I have different things about myself I don't like. I wish I would have had, certain features on me. I wish, but I can let you know, I was born with a vajayjay. Even if I wish my voice was like a little softer, and I wish I would have had more, up on the, top area. But I was born with a vajayjay. And I want to be in the type of, and I don't want to be with anybody with a vajayjay. A biological man, a man that's born with man parts. A man has a penis. I have a vajayjay, I'll say, terms, and the man has the man parts. And he's masculine. No man that's abusive or controlling and stuff like that. Now, that can be a bad relationship if the guy is controlling. He's supposed to want to protect you, and because the feminization of the man is going very overstream, and to try to make women more masculine and the man more feminine. But a lot of fellowships need to be training men and women how to come together, how to communicate. Because a lot of us are on our phones and on the device. And I'm recording this from the cell phone with a backdrop, which is poster board, which I got from the Staples. It's supposed to be like a little multicolored, but I'm going to leave that there because I don't want to make a long video about this. I thought it needed to be addressed, and I'll leave some in the description. And I want to tell these people to their fellowships. All y'all want to pray about revival and people coming to Christ. Need to pray about people getting in relationships, about relationships working, about men and women, heterosexual men and women coming together. Because it's crisis. I have that in another video about the crisis. So you need to be praying into that. And that's something that's on my heart. I know I'm not where I want to be, but I'm thankful for where I am, and I'm thankful to be blessed with, what I am, in my, employment and steady employment and be able to take off. And this is within 2 weeks that and I hadn't really taken out 2 weeks, like, since I had become regular. And I just wanted, people need to communicate better, men and women, because there are plenty of us conservative women who have biblical views on things, on how men and women come together in a marriage, and a guy leading the woman, because he's supposed to be the leader. And not in a controlling, in a dominating way. And the woman, she can't belittle the guy and vice versa. And sometimes, and I'm even working on how I, talk and communicate. And sometimes, and I'm trying to be more calm. If I'm upset, I'm trying to work on it and stuff like that, because everybody's not there. And I've watched relationships, some men and women, they, might yell or lift their voice up if they're in an emotional, and they was like, don't yell at me. Even if you're not yelling at them, they're like, don't yell at me, don't yell at me, don't talk to me like that. And some people are so, but you got to be careful when you got to watch. People have to watch their attitudes and how they deal with people. And guys like, don't talk to me like that. You expect. I like, but and then you lower your voice, and some people have emotional issues, so you gotta pray. And a lot of people have been jabbed, and that's affecting a lot of people too, because people have received the thing in the arm from the CV, and that's affecting a whole lot of people. And I know folks act like that's a conspiracy theory, but that's affecting some relationships. And I don't doubt some relationships have broken up, and how people change after getting the thing in the arm for the CV. A lot of people are medicated. A lot of people on medication. That's even more disturbing. And we got a population that's medicated. And in America, it's more medicated people to cover up more demons. And some people are bound with stuff, and there are a lot of medication to cover up a whole lot of things. I just wish we gotta find some people. There are good deliverance ministries out there will help people get delivered. But I wouldn't advise people to just get off their meds. If they're on meds, just have a way where the doctor can wean them off, and through prayer, and some people do some fasting and prayer and keep praying. And that's about all I gotta say about that. And I just put something in the description. Another video in the description is, this is a lot of stuff going on right now. And that Leslie lady and a lot of women, and it's an evil agenda to push this feminist, this evil situation. And there would have been more men available. But a lot of people are aborted. A lot of black babies. So there are less black men available. Not that I have to have a black man, but they aborted their babies and have reduced the population because they aborted their babies. I'm pro-life, and I'll leave that there.